Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic. The Scottish Suns look ahead to the new SPFL football season. We've got just about 24 hours to go. I'm Roger Hannah. With me today, David Friel. You'll also be hearing from Paul Petrie of McBookie, who'll give you all the odds on all four SPFL divisions. But David, the breaking news as we're on the show today, a new contract for Rangers manager Philippe Clement.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago, Roger, as we sit here, and I think it probably took everybody by surprise. He was obviously under contract until 2027 anyway. When he arrived at Rangers last October, it was a 3.5-year deal. But I've just watched an interview with Philippe Clement, and he basically says that everybody's aligned, everybody was all in, and it refers to a project at Rangers now, massive rebuild we know that's going on just now. The board wanted him around for the long haul. He wants to stay for the long haul, so they've just reaffirmed the commitment, an extra year on the deal. Improved terms, I would imagine.
I would think so too. He didn't seem too happy during pre-season in Netherlands about the sort of financial guarantees. He sort of hinted at things he had been told last October maybe hadn't come to fruition. Do you think in the intervening couple of weeks he's maybe had the assurances he was looking for?
Yeah, I think he probably has, and I also think if you look at Rangers' business, probably even in the last 3, 4, 5 days, I think it probably gives a bit more confidence about the season ahead. Look, I still think it's going to be a bumpy ride, especially at the start for Rangers are out of Ibrox, playing at Hampden, get Champions League qualifiers, try to bed in young players, try to kind of bleed in the older players as well. But I think Robin Proper and Václav Černý are certainly a step in the right direction in terms of match-ready players that you would imagine will go and make a big impact on the Rangers team. He's had to lose, he spoke about that in his interview, the core of the team's gone. Connor Goldson was the final part there, and you wonder if there's maybe even more to come. You know, the noise around James Tavernier, although yesterday he did say that he was fully committed, doesn't go away. Will he stick about? I think there's a few others that might leave as well. Cyril Dessers could be one. Still think there's plenty of business to do, but it does seem to me that Philippe Clement, especially getting Proper and Černý in, clearly is happier in terms of recruitment.
And you're not going to get much of a tougher start to the season. Hearts away at Tynecastle tomorrow, and Dynamo Kiev in Poland in this crucial Champions League qualifier on Tuesday night. Yeah,
2 huge games, and I get it's early in the season, but Rangers really want to get off to a winning start. I don't think, I'd imagine Celtic against a very tired Kilmarnock team will get 3 points. I know it's so early, it's game 1 of 38, but Rangers really need to get off to a winning start. Hearts, I think they've got a point to prove after their form against Rangers last year. 6 games in all competitions, didn't beat Rangers once. They will want to go again on home soil. A settled squad. They've added bits and pieces. I think they've got a really settled squad. They'll want to go and make an impact against Rangers. But as you say, Tuesday night Rangers in Poland against Dynamo Kiev as well. It's such a big start for them.
Flag Day at Celtic Park Sunday afternoon. Later kick-off 4:30 live on television. They take on a Kilmarnock side who lost to Cercle Bruges in Belgium last night. They're out of the Europa League into the playoff round of the Conference League. Will they be tired coming back to Celtic Park?
Yeah, I always think for the kind of smaller clubs in terms of squad, it's really, really hard to juggle these European qualifiers on a Thursday night and then going into the weekend games, especially for Kilmarnock at Celtic Park. I think if you just look at history over the last few years, Hibs have struggled, Hearts have struggled, other clubs have struggled as well. I just don't think they've sometimes got the squad to cope, especially as the qualifiers go on. So yeah, it's going to take a monumental effort for Kilmarnock just to get themselves back up. Such a disappointment last night. I don't think they played the worst. I think it was obviously a goal that Derek McInnes wasn't happy about conceding. They did have a couple of chances, but they're going to have to pick themselves up. But what a tough test for them to start with.
Celtic cruised through pre-season. They added Paulo Bernardo on a 5-year contract yesterday, closing in on Adam Ida. Looks as if it's almost the perfect pre-season for Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, it's been the perfect pre-season in terms of the form of a lot of his players, the results and stuff like that. I still think Celtic have got a lot of business to do. I'm surprised if you look back to the Scottish Cup final squad and the bigger squad then, Celtic at that point had 3 strikers, Kyogo Furuhashi, Ida and O. They've now got 1 striker. They did finally add Paulo Bernardo this week. Obviously the goalkeeping situation was addressed when Joe Hart left, Kasper Schmeichel's in, Sinisalo's in too. But I think Celtic might still add 4 or 5 players. I think they need to add 4 or 5 players. If you look back to Brendan Rodgers' comments in January, he spoke about taking the next step. He spoke about what had been done in January ahead of the summer. You're now into the first game of the season, and Celtic, apart from Bernardo, haven't added another outfield player. I think a lot of fans are surprised. I think some fans are disappointed. And I think in the next 4 weeks, Celtic, if they want to take the next step, increase the level of the team, just get extra competition in certain areas, centre half, left back, even midfield, and up front, obviously with Ida, deal rumbling on. I think Celtic need to get a move on because it won't be too long before these Champions League games are coming around, and that for Brendan Rodgers has to be the barometer. He has to have a side that's better equipped to go and compete in the Champions League.
Kilmarnock, as we say, drop into the Conference League playoff. They'll take on the Norwegian side Tromsø. St Mirren also take on Norwegian opposition next week in the playoff round. Brann, a fantastic 4-1 home win for St Mirren against Valor last night. And they now play Hibs and Paisley on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, it's going to be a big effort from St Mirren to lift themselves, but I was really, really impressed with them. I thought they looked a really good team last night. Athletic, strong, played some good football as well, scored some great goals. What an atmosphere in Paisley too. I think Stephen Robinson, with every passing season, every passing game and milestone they reach, what a job he's done.
Yeah.
And he's lost a few players in the summer as well. That's not an easy job, especially guys like James Bolton just out of nowhere has gone. But then you look at the signings he brings in. As I say, he's very shrewd in terms of his use of the transfer market, but he gets the team playing. He's got a real system there. But as I said, they're big, they can look after themselves. He's got a good goalie again, having lost Zach Heyman. But they also play football, and I thought they were outstanding last night.
Yeah. Dundee Derby, Sunday. It's the first time they've met in the first day of the season in 23 years. That was a 2-2 draw. The last time they met 2 years ago was a 2-2 draw. Something similar, would be just as tight at Tannadice Sunday?
Yeah, I think Dundee are favourites. I would say Dundee are favourites. I know United came up last year as champions, but I think Dundee, again under Tony Docherty, what a job he's done. I think adding Simon Murray, huge boost, was outstanding for Ross County last season. Again, Dundee will probably want to go and make an impact. United, it wasn't the best Premier Sports Cup section. They did go down to the wire in terms of getting through. I think, again, Jim Goodwin signed some good players, but still got a bit of work to do as well. I think Dundee, off the back of a top six finish last season, will feel they can go and get a result at Tannadice, and you just wonder, are they going to walk down or are they going to get the bus?
Jimmy Tellin, he won't walk from Aberdeen to Perth. He's got to wait till Monday night though for his Premiership debut as Aberdeen manager. He'll take Dimitar Mitov back down to McDermott Park with him. How do you see that going? Yeah,
again, interesting. Aberdeen, I probably expected them, like Celtic, to do a bit more business in the transfer market so far. I dare say they're maybe waiting to see what happens with Majowski, and then they might get busy later on. Yeah, look, we're all waiting to see how Jimmy Tillin, really, what kind of style he plays, what kind of impact he has. Is he completely transformed the way Aberdeen play? And, I was talking to Robert Thompson, our colleague, about this high press thing. It's going to be a tough start on a very emotional night, I'd imagine, in Perth. Jeff Brown moving on, Adam Webb coming in as a new owner, Craig Levein signed some players, but I think there's going to be a tribute to, obviously, the former St Johnstone owner and everything he's done for the club. St Johnstone will have so much motivation to go off to a winning start, but Jimmy Tillin will also want to go off to a winning start and really start making his impact and making his mark on that Aberdeen side. You start the season at Fir Park tomorrow. We're here to entertain, inform and educate. So here you go, David. Apostolos Stamopoulos. Apostolos Stamopoulos. Apostolos Stamopoulos. If the Motherwell social media team can do it, I can do it. Will he do it? Yeah, I think he will. 17 goals for Newcastle Jets last season, Apostolos Stamopoulos. I think, look, it's Theo Bair is gone, Blair Spittle's gone, Liam Kelly's gone. It's a very different Motherwell side. But then you look at Dingwall and Jack Baldwin's gone, Jan Danda's gone, Simon Murray's gone. There's a lot of goals in the games between the two of them last year. I don't know how the departures will impact that. Motherwell on home soil always play well, pristine pitch, I would imagine. I don't know if Stamopoulos is going to start the game. I don't know if he's going to be match ready. Zach Robinson may get the nod up front. But look, an entertaining game it always is between the two teams, and I'm expecting goals again tomorrow. And if Motherwell can call Kevin Van Veen KVV, I think you'll find this lad will be AVS before the end of the season. All the best. Well, we can now be joined by a friend of the show, Paul Petrie of McBookie, to give us some of the odds for this new SPFL season. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to Go Ballistic. Now, there's not much odds, not many great odds on who's going to win this Premiership title. It looks like Celtic well odds on for 4 in a row. If you were to take Celtic and Rangers out of the equation, what are the odds for the Premiership title without the big two this season?
Well, first of all, people are backing Hearts to split the Celtic and Rangers, which is an interesting bet this season. 40-1, that's available. So that's Hearts to finish between Celtic and Rangers in any order. But as you say, from a betting point of view, Celtic 2-5 for the title, Rangers 7-4. It's betting without Celtic and Rangers that looks competitive. Hearts obviously filled that spot for the last couple of years. They're the favourites at 7-4, but it's Aberdeen that's attracting the most money. Jimmy Phelan, new manager. Let's see how he copes with Scottish football. It's always interesting when a guy comes from out with Scotland. How does he manage to cope with the media, Roger? You'll be putting pressure on him if he doesn't get a couple of wins straight away. But those are the ones that are attracting the money so far, and that's Aberdeen at 11-4 to finish above Hearts and between Celtic and Rangers.
I was surprised at that, Paul. You look at last season, Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Dundee, all finished top 6. We've got a mutual friend, an Aberdeen fan, Mark Walker. I know he watches this show every single week, twice a week. He watches it on YouTube. He thought the channel was named after him. Is he surprised by the backing that Jimmy Thelen and Aberdeen are getting in that market this season?
And I think it's because the last few appointments by Aberdeen have been so disappointing. So that's why he's under pressure in terms of they've got to get this one right, don't they? We'll come to the manager market for who's going to leave their job first. We've put Thielen at quite a big price because I think that the Aberdeen board have got to give him time. I don't think they could afford to be sacking him in the early part of the season if he starts slowly. I think they've said it's a 3-year plan. They're going to give him a chance to build the squad, a chance to make his signings, put his print on the team. So I think that's why they've been backed. And they've started off the campaign well, a good League Cup campaign. Obviously, Hearts haven't been playing so far, so it's how quickly they can start. And that's why I think these teams that do play in the League Cup, although they'd rather not be in it because they'd rather be in Europe, it does give them the advantage over the other teams because they've got that fitness edge over them when the league starts.
Really interesting. I spoke to Mark through the week actually about those sack race odds. I think Jim Goodwin at Dundee United was 3-1 to be the first manager to go. Stuart Kettlewell at Motherwell 4-1 second favourite. You normally correlate that with the teams who are favourites to go down, but the teams that are favourites to go down are St Johnstone and Ross County. Does that really just shine a light on how open it's going to be at the bottom, Paul?
Exactly, and that market's going to be really fluid. 3-1 for the first manager to leave his job is actually quite a big price in terms of the normal market. I think last year we had Steve McLean at 6-4 to lose his job first of all, and that price is basically based on the fact that the Dundee United fans, even though they won the championship last season, still weren't happy. They thought that they should have won the championship a little bit easier than they did. They crawled over the line. They've obviously struggled to get through the League Cup stage. At one point, it looked like they wouldn't qualify. So Goodwin was already under pressure. But a couple of wins, and those prices will change quite dramatically. Craig Levein, again, are St Johnstone going to sack somebody so quickly after he's just been appointed last season? They've obviously got a new board coming in, so they might be looking for some stability. So that's why those odds are based on that. And of course, the shortest price of all of them, which seems quite a shock, is the Rangers manager. We've put him in at 6-1, not because we think he's necessarily going to get sacked, but there's already grumbling in terms of he's not happy with the fact he has to sell players, so he might actually walk. And I think that's the key about that market. It used to be called the sack race, but now, of course, it's called the first manager to leave his post. The manager doesn't have to be sacked. He could walk. He can move to another team, which is why Stephen Robinson is a shorter price than you would imagine. So that's why that makes it an interesting market.
No, I'm just looking at another screen. We've got live breaking news here, Paul. I always wanted to say this in Go Ballistic. You might have to lengthen the odds, and Philippe Clement has just signed a new 4-year contract as Rangers manager as this show is going on. So
there you go. Bookie's on the ball as ever, Roger.
Another stage of this show, I have to say. So it just shows you how these odds can deviate. What about top scorer? We all love a goal. Lawrence Shanklin was top scorer last season. He was double Footballer of the Year from the Football Writers and his fellow professionals. But it's Kyogo Furuhashi that's favourite to be top scorer.
Yeah, I mean, the top scorer market's very interesting because normally you would expect a Celtic or Rangers player to win it. But the sequence actually seems to go Celtic or Rangers player, then somebody else. Celtic or Rangers player, then somebody else. And that's why we've put Kyogo as the favourite, just because you expect Celtic to score the most goals. We've got Shanklin in the second favourite at 5-1. Cyril Dessers has been back so far. He's been back from 6-1 into 4-1. Again, such a tricky one because although he did really well last season in terms of number of goals, he missed so many chances and he never really secured himself as that Rangers #1 striker. And it still doesn't look like he is the Rangers #1 striker. Danilo obviously suffering from injuries. If he comes back, is he going to be the main man? And I think that's what Rangers ideally need to do. You know, Kyogo's the main man for Celtic. Who's the main man for Rangers? And that's why it makes it such a difficult one to price up. But so far, the punters are back in Dessers.
Down the leagues, I have to declare a bias here. This is going to be a United season in the Championship. They've not been in the top flight since 1978. It's long overdue. Scott Brown has got them on the march, backed by the chairman, David Smith. Tell me United are going up, Paul.
Well, they've been supported. We originally went 10-1 Ayr United. They're now into 6-1. But that championship looks massively open. The last couple of seasons, you've had Dundee United odds on, Kilmarnock odds on. The previous season, Dundee odds on. There was always that big team that you thought, right, they should really walk this league. Livingston have came down from the Premiership. They're third favourites for the title. You wouldn't actually look at Livingston and think that they're gonna walk this league. So that's why it's a really interesting one. Wraith Rovers 10-3 favourites, Partick Thistle 4-1, and then you've got Livingston and Falkirk in the betting as well. So this is going to be a wide open race for the title, and it's going to be one of those leagues as well where I think everybody will beat everybody. And if you could go on a run, then you've got a really good chance. I think Wraith have made some really astute signings. Lewis Stevenson, Paul Hanlon, they'll bring a lot of maturity at the back for them, and that's why we've made them favourites. But the money has been for Ayr. They've had a good League Cup campaign again. You shouldn't take too much notice of that, but it still helps. Anton Dowds has been back for top goal scorer in that league. He's been back from 16-1 into 6-1, which is a really big move. We actually thought George Oakley would be the main man for Ayr. Obviously, scored a lot of goals for Morton last season, but it looks like the punters think Dowds is going to be the main man.
And you talk about big clubs. Look at League One. The last 2 seasons, it's been a big club. It's been Dunfermline or it's been Falkirk who have sort of run away with that league. If there's a big club this season in League One, it's possibly Inverness, but you just don't know what's going to happen with them this season. Is that wide open, that league as well, Paul?
100%. And their financial problems has made it a really difficult league to price up, because had Inverness came down and they didn't have those problems, they would be odds on for the title.
Yeah.
Instead, they're now 5-6-1. And even then, based on who's purchased them, there's no confidence behind them. You'd look at that and think, right, they've sorted out their financial problems. Maybe they'll be able to put a good go in it. But the fans don't seem to be happy. There's a lot of controversy over that purchase from the new owner. Queen of the South have been the one that have been well supported. Obviously, they've got a couple of full-time players. They've been in the championship before. But as you say, there's no Falkirk, there's no Dunfermline. Arbroath are the favourites, but they're a part-time side. So how are they going to cope in terms of League One football this season?
And we dip into League Two. Spartans, the only side from out with the top 2 tiers who made the last 16 of the Premier Sports Cup. They won at Livingston. They only lost in the playoffs at the tail end of their first season in League Two. Who will compete with them? The ones I fancied myself, the old managers, the guys who have done it before, Dick Campbell at East Fife and Ian McCall at Clyde.
Well, Clyde have been the ones that have been back. When we went up with our prices originally, Clyde were 7-1. They're now into 7-4 favourites, so there's a lot of confidence behind them. As you say, Ian McCall, been there, done it. They've also spent money, which is not many of the clubs in League Two have done. And then you've got Dick Campbell and his brother as well, who've been there, done the course. They know how to win these lower leagues. So those are the 2 ones that are the most popular. But Spartans, we made a mistake last season. We went 33-1 for them. We didn't think they'd make the leap from the lowlands. They did it really, really well, and it looks like they'll be able to move on from that as well. So those are the 3 teams that I think the title's going to be between. Big test for Clyde was last week against Montrose. They got backed in odds on favourite against a team above them in the league. They failed to win. So let's see how they get on at the weekend against Forfar.
Paul, that's great. Thank you very much. You can follow Paul Petrie and McBookie's odds every Saturday through the season in our favourite pull-out. Good luck for the season, Paul.
Excellent, Roger. Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching Go Ballistic. Remember, you can see on all the Scottish Sun social media platforms. You can subscribe to the Scottish Sun Sport YouTube channel. We will be here every Friday right through the season, looking ahead to the weekend fixtures. And we'll be back every Monday reviewing them. We'll be back this Monday with Sun Sport's own columnist Chris Boyd, our football editor Derek McGregor, and myself, Roger Hannah. Enjoy your weekend of football. All the best.